Let me turn off my cam. All right. I don't know where Jim went. Well, Jack, I guess it's just you. Let's get this thing popping, man. There he is. Here we go. Amen. Why is this thing so screwed up? All right.
Hey, how you doing, Jack?
Hey, pretty good, Jim. This is the Mac, Jack, and Jim special Sunday sports show. 1/3 of our equation isn't here. Mac, he's having technical.
Yeah, he's having. So it's the J&J Mok Draft talking show.
But listen, Mac is not hungover in any way, shape, or form. He's genuinely having technical difficulty.
Yeah, he really is.
Yeah, unlike the Monday night football game in which Howard Cosell had to take a break years ago because he was a little hungover.
Exactly.
Max genuinely hungover. Well, we're not going to miss a beat, Jim. This is our big draft show.
Not at all. Actually, it might be better because Max slows us down.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, Mac normally has your back, Jim, and things like this. I mean, but
I feel bad for Mac because this is one of his favorite days.
About that, I mean, Mac normally has your back. Now, I don't know who's talking in the background.
It sounds like you.
Oh, we have an echo now. Okay, whatever. But
There's Mac.
We're raring to go, Jim. Let's get.
Hey, guys, let me interrupt you. I'm on a different part, so I can come and at least hear you, where I couldn't hear you before. Yes. So it's going to be a little bit on a delay, but I can still set you guys up and get it going. So excuse me if I'm a little confused because I'm listening on a different device.
Mac, just put the ball in my hands.
So, folks,
and get out of the
what
way.
we're going to do here is we're going to bring in a bunch of guests. We're going to go over the mock draft. We're going to have Jim and Jack at the end of the show with myself to give you our picks on our team. So Keith Engel should be coming up first at about 8:10 with the Patriots first round draft choice. And that's what we're going to go over, guys. Okay. All the first round draft choices on the teams that we follow. So we'll have Keith Engel at 8:10 with the Patriots update. Then we'll have Robert Butler come in and give us the Titans, a little bit of NFL rumors and different trades that might happen also on the draft board. And then we'll have the Philly sports guy give us the Phillies 2 sports picks, which of course we can give our picks with them, but they won't be able to debate us on our picks, which is going to be great because then we could just fly along and give us our reasons why we got what we got on our draft. So, folks, I'm glad you joined us today. Of course, Thursday, there's our NFL draft show where we'll be having live reports from the draft. We'll be going over the draft, the first round, with some great guests, such as Jim Jeffcoat, who will join us for the Cowboys draft pick. And we will also have Byron Williams, who will join us for the New York Giants draft pick. So it's going to be a great show Thursday, our second annual. We'll have Keith Angle, Robert Butler in to co-host the show with us as they did last year. So as I'm slowing down the show, as Jim says, I'll go ahead and give you a little bit more news that I want to give you real quick before we get to Keith, okay? So not to talk about just some quick scores in the NBA. Of course, the Celtics up 3-0 on the Nets, as the Nets at the end didn't even look like they wanted to play. You had the Jazz beating Dallas 100-99, and the Timberwolves come back, make it 2-2. So those are your quick scores. We already got Keith backstage. He's so excited about talking about his picks. And let's see, we'll bring him up, guys, and we'll get Keith's pick, and we'll see what he did. Like I said, I'm on delay, guys, so bear with me, okay? So let's bring up Keith Angle, Patriots observer, reporter. He's been looking at the Patriots for years, and see what he thinks is going to happen with the Patriots. So let me bring Keith up.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, Keith.
Listen, who made the rules for this? Who made the rules for this segment, by the way?
Now, Keith, I'm screwed up here technically, so I can't hear you here. I'm on delay. So why don't you give us your pick and why, and then me, Jack, and Jim will tell you why you're totally wrong. Okay, so let's see what you got.
Well, my pick, the Patriots could have gone a lot of ways here, right? They need help at linebacker, corner, or defensive back, wide receiver, offensive line. I just think while this draft is maybe not over the top with Hall of Fame type talent, at least now, who knows going in the future, I think it's really deep at some of these positions. So I think the Patriots are going to go with, I think, their most obvious need, which is speed on defense and at linebacker. And my pick, and I went back and forth with a couple of guys, is Nakobe Dean from Georgia. Smallish, fast, and maybe was the best player on that great defense on Georgia last year. Probably 4 or 5 guys going in the first round from that defense.
Keith, you're going to pick, what is he, 5'10 and a half?
He's 5'11". Come on.
Oh, come on, man. Come on. You pick up 5'11 and a half?
He was a leader to Georgia defense. I mean, keep that in mind. Those leadership skills, you can't really measure. The players around him, and that was a historic college defense.
But Jack, what you have to realize is, especially in the AFC East, they're going to be more running teams. They're going to run the ball. And how is he going to withstand the pressure of having to play the run? Because you got Buffalo. The Jets are going to run the ball more. Obviously, Miami, they did get some receivers, but they're still going to run the ball. Good morning, Pickles.
The only thing is you're judging him based on his size in part, figuring he's going to wear down because he's not big.
And
you've probably been around guys who have a big heart, and
it's a fair enough. The size issue is a fair enough argument. And Jim, you're absolutely right. I mean, that's one of probably the biggest drawbacks with him. But he's a versatile kind of guy that Bill Belichick loves, to be able to move around the field. They need to replace Dante Hightower, most likely not coming back. And I kicked around him and the kid from Utah. Now his name is escaping me, but
Devin Lloyd.
Devin Lloyd's
a guy they're probably going to take. Let me throw a name at you who I think is going to be available, who I think they should take if Devin Lloyd isn't available, because I think he's the best fit for Bill Belichick. Tyler Lindenbaum. A guy center/guard to protect Mac Jones, top of the line, player. I think he would be perfect. He would be the guy if Devin Lloyd isn't there.
Or Zion Johnson from Boston College. That'd be another good pick for him.
I was just going to bring him up. If they do go offensive line, Zion Johnson would maybe be the better pick because he's very versatile. Lindebaum's great, but Johnson's very versatile along that line as well.
I mean, are the Patriots going to pick, you think, according to need or best player available? What's been their history? Has it been need or best player?
All right, Keith. I'm going to tell you, Keith, Jack, and Jim, you're all wrong. You're all wrong. I'm telling you because the Patriots. I thought about the linebacker too out of Utah. The Yankees, the Yankees, the Patriots' biggest problem was the run last year. I think you all will agree to that, right?
Yep.
So why aren't they going after a big defensive lineman that might be there for you? I mean, I don't know why you would take a small, fast guy that really is. I mean, that would be great if you already had a great defensive line or a good run-stopping defense. So I'm going to tell you who the Patriots are going to take. They're going to take defensive lineman Jordan Davis, 340 pounds.
He won't be there.
I think
Great against the run and could put pressure on the quarterback if he's there. That's the only question you're going to have right now. If he's there, he's your run stopper, and he also puts pressure on the quarterback. That's what the Patriots got to do. They got to stop the run. Only problem, I don't know if he gets scooped up before he gets there, Keith.
And that's what I think is going to happen. I think he's going to get scooped up. Keith, I like the pick because you had Teddy Boucher, and he played it. He was an undersized.
Yeah, undersized guy, right?
Yeah, but Mac makes a good point that you don't have the interior lineman right now to protect him.
Well, if Jordan Davis is there, it'll be a tough decision.
Oh, yeah. No
I don't think he's going to be there myself. And, as far as the pass rushers, I'll even go an extra round. I got them taking an edge rusher, Drake Jackson from USC in the second round. So I think they're going to address both those needs here in the first two rounds.
You know what we're not considering with Belichick? There's an intangible involved. You would think this is Bill Belichick. He's so secure in himself. He's going to actually be calling the plays for the first time in years because Josh McDaniels went to coach, the Raiders. So Bill Belichick kind of has something to prove that he could play offensive coordinator as well. So you think the possibility is he's going to go for one of the receivers, look towards a Trey Burke for someone who's going to be there?
But you remember what was said last week. Belichick has done this before. He's not going to call the plays. He's going to have it by committee. Belichick's not calling the plays on offense.
No, he'll have the final say. That'll be about it.
But he's going to be more involved than he's been.
Yeah, but he still is not going to call the plays.
Yeah. And to your question about the wide receivers in general, Jack, there's I've seen a lot of mock drafts that had them taking a receiver here, whether it be London from USC or Williams from Alabama, if they're there.
I don't think they'll be there.
They probably won't be. And that's why I don't think – and they also have not had great history taking wide receivers early in the draft, right?
That's true.
So I think, again, I'll go another pick deeper. I think John Mechie from Alabama falls into the third round, and the Patriots have a shot at him and be able to give Mac Jones one of his old targets at Alabama.
I like the pick, but I think he's going to be gone before then. I think he'll go the second round, even with the injury, because he's such a dynamic player. You would have to get him in round two. Yeah, I just don't. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just think you have to get him in round two.
Now you see him kind of ranked all over the place. I've seen
guys. There's a lot of it all. It all depends. It all depends what the other teams do, of course, all the time. So I mean, listen, maybe the Patriots trade up. Maybe they trade up to go get that defensive lineman, or maybe they trade up to get that player. Belichick likes to trade down. Maybe this year, maybe he decides to trade up to go get that big defensive lineman or to get that big linebacker to stop the run. I'm not sure. He never does that, but maybe this year he changes. We'll see what happens.
But it makes sense. It makes sense because that would help the whole, obviously, the Patriots defense because that league, the AFC East, is changing. It's going to become a more power league, which makes sense because you're in the East. I think it's going to be, other than Miami, Buffalo's going to run the ball more. Obviously, the Jets are. And I don't think you're going to see it because the weather prevents you later in the season from doing that.
Yeah. With Georgia, I think the university's been given an extra hard look because their defense was so great. So you think of a player like a Quay Walker, an inside linebacker, who's going to be there by the time the Patriots go. I mean, the teams were going between 20 and 30, putting a little more emphasis on Georgia because they were so good. And they're thinking, well, maybe the reason they were so good isn't because of the glamour guys who are going, in the front of the draft, maybe because of some of the other guys. So you kind of wonder where a guy like Quay Walker is going to wind up.
And you make a good point, Jack, because this is what happened when I was coaching the Cowboys. The starters were Richard Seymour and Marcus Stroud, 2 first-rounders. I took a free agent from University of Georgia, the backup, and he played 9 years in the NFL. He was a really good player, Demetrius Evans. So you're right. You make a good point on that. There's guys that might be overlooked.
There's always guys that are overlooked, and that's where Belichick actually and the Patriots flourish, I think, in the middle, or have, I should say. Maybe not recently, but in the middle to later rounds, they find gems.
I agree 100%.
And I think that's where they're going to address their defensive back issues, because I think they're going to go for.
I'm glad we are having a lot of good, sane, level-headed talk. I mean, we had Pags on yesterday. He jumped the gun with the draft, saying the Giants are going to take Kenny Pickett. Okay, way the 5th or 7th for the quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, what the heck is he?
Oh my goodness!
He stuck to it, Pax.
It's very interesting. I have seen Kenny Pickett like all over the board recently, though. Forever, I've seen him going 20 to Pittsburgh, and now I see him go to Carolina at 6.
Can I ask you this? Do you think if one of the quarterbacks that Belichick likes, he's not looking for quarterback, obviously, is there in the 3rd round? The 3rd round, a real good value pick like a Sam Howell or someone like that. Do you think he might snatch that guy? And that would set up a controversy.
No, I don't think he'd pick him, but I think he'd look for a trade partner who might want that guy.
Exactly. I agree. But if you look at the history, he has picked quarterbacks later and developed them. He has developed them, the Jimmy Garoppolo.
I can think of one really good one.
Yeah, the guy at Tampa Bay. What's his name? He has done that.
Moment. I'm going to tell you the most underrated position in the NFL, underrated is backup quarterback, because in this day and age, at some point you're probably going to have to go to your backup quarterback during.
Yeah, I don't know. You got to get talent. You got to improve the talent base of your team, and you have to look at where you're at, because the majority of players that are going to play are going to be in your top 30, and that's what you got to look at. So a quarterback is a kind of a luxury, a backup.
Yeah, Jim. Jim. Excuse me, Jack, because like I said, I'm on delay. I don't know what you're doing, but the backup quarterback is something you need, but I don't know if it's underrated, right? I think maybe the most underrated position in football is probably the offensive lineman is probably the most underrated position in football.
I would agree.
And listen, Keith, we got your pick on record. You'll be on the draft show with us.
Okay,
we'll see what happens. But I really think that if the Patriots don't move up to get one of those good defensive linemen, you guys are going to have the same problem next year unless in some way they address it through free agency or trade or something, or maybe tryouts, or they find something. That's where the Patriots have their biggest need this year. I hope you guys get a good run stopper, whether it be linebacker or defensive lineman, and we'll see what happens.
Listen, unless we find this year's Jim Jeffcoat, I don't know if we want to go that early with him. I bring that up because the other night I rewatched the ESPN 30 for 30 on the 1983 draft, Jim, and you are in that, obviously.
Yeah.
First round.
Yeah, that's the
draft. Those guys. I stacked Marino, Jack.
Dan Marino.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah, I'm just saying the backup quarterback very quickly. Emotionally, it means a lot to a team. Case in point, Jim, you're playing and if Troy Aikman went down and Jason Garrett is coming in. That's not exactly giving the team a lift.
Yeah, but we had Jason Garrett, we had Bernie Kosar. But to that, we had a great running game, and we had the number one defense in the NFL at that time.
You know what?
That makes a difference.
How many Super Bowl winners have there been, and how many backup quarterbacks have led their team to the Super Bowl? I mean,
listen.
A few, but not many.
Listen, Keith. I hope you're well. I agree with what Jim said. If you have Bernie Kosar, who was a starting quarterback for the Browns at one time as your backup, you're not doing too bad, right? So I think all teams kind of look at their backup quarterbacks and backup players as they build their team. You need that big impact player in the first round, second round, third round to change the dynamics of your team in some way or in some shape. So, Keith,
agreed.
We're going to let you go right now. We'll see you Thursday, folks. The second annual NFL Draft Show on Northeast Streaming Sports, live reports from Vegas with our reporters, the Philly sports guy. Jetman will be there. We'll have Sneaky G-Man there, and maybe even Captain Jack will pop in for a little while. So that should be live on Roku.
Just to calm things down.
The platforms we're on.
See, I'm going to be a backup for the Jets draft pick because Jetman's going to be there, so I'm the backup draft, guy.
I hope they make real.
I'm not starting when it comes to the Jets draft picks on Thursday.
Good stuff. What's happened to Mac today? Anyway, he's like in a different time zone today. Is he on?
Yeah. He has a little bit of technical difficulties, and it's unfortunate because this is his baby right here.
He's
all right, guys. Like I said, I'm on audio delay here, so I'm catching the comments my esteemed colleague Jack is saying afterwards, and that's why I'm shaking my head as it looks like, why is Mac shaking?
Mac's on a 20-second time delay.
So we gotta let Keith go.
Your head, by the way, just to the
Keith, we gotta let you go. We got Robert Butler coming in. I wish I heard the joke live. It would probably been really funny. So Keith, we'll see you Thursday. Thursday at 7:30 we start. And hey, good luck to the Patriots, and it should be fun.
Looking forward to it as always.
All right. Pleasure always, Keith.
Have a great Sunday.
You too.
Let me tell you what I hate about the NFL.
I hope I cut him off right, guys. I don't even know if I cut him off at the right time or in mid-sentence, but this is fun. This is really fun, me not hearing my own show. My God, I don't know.
It's what they do. I think they take 5 minutes.
Jack is just talking over top of me. I don't even know what he's saying, which is interesting.
Mac, you keep cutting in here.
Yeah, say it louder, Jack, so I can't hear you more louder. Okay. All right. So we got Robert Butler backstage right now. He with Sports Scope. He's going to give us a little bit of the NFL news and rumors, and of course, give us the Titans first round pick and why. Robert, before you come on, I cannot hear us live. I'm on tape delay on another device, so bear with me as you guys talk and I catch up, and I might just interrupt you for no reason. You'll be like, what is wrong with Mac? Well, that's what's wrong with me right now. So we're going to bring you up, and we'll talk a little bit of NFL rumors and trades possible with veterans as the teams might move up and down the board. Robert Butler from Sportscope, and of course, and near the end, we'll get Robert's pick, and we'll tell him why he's wrong. So, Robert, why don't you go ahead and start us off? Jim and Jack will be talking to you live more than I am because, as I said, I'm on tape delay. Any rumors or news about veterans, Deebo Samuels, DK Metcalf, that might affect the trade? Any move ups and downs that you hear about teams that are rumored or that might happen? And then, excuse me, Robert, let me finish so I can get it all in. And then after that, we'll go ahead and get your take on the Tennessee Titans. So go ahead, Robert.
Okay, guys. Tell Mac I said good morning, Jack, Jim. This Deebo Samuel thing's interesting. I've been listening and following this thing all week, guys. It seems like it's not about money. It seems like it's not about as much, although I do think it's somewhat about him playing that wide back, getting all those carries, Jim, out of the backfield. That could cut his career short, being a taller wide receiver. I think that's turning into an issue. But it seems like the main thing is he's homesick. He's not really with the whole San Francisco Bay Area thing. So he wants to come to the East Coast. And, you know, I don't know. Carolina, I don't know if they can pull off something. He played at South Carolina.
Yes, he did. But here's the thing, Robert.
Yeah, Jim.
They said that him and CeeDee Lamb are really good friends. He wants to come to Dallas, of all places.
Okay. Well, that would be
already said that. Yeah, but Dallas, I don't know if they can pull it off. They're going to have to give up a boatload to get him. And is he that player that's going to take him over? This is not a Charles Haley situation.
Right.
This is a different kind of situation. I don't know if they can pull that off.
I would say, you know, someone like Jack with the Jets fan, AJ Brown. There was also, he was talking about with AJ Brown, an audio leak talking about a conversation. Deebo Samuel, did you hear that, Jim? Where Tennessee had made an offer for $20 million for AJ Brown, but they said you could probably get more than this elsewhere, but this is the best we can do. Now, there's no state tax here. He's already settled into the system. I get that. But a team like the Jets, would a team like the Jets ask San Francisco maybe offer that 10th pick for Deebo or possibly that 10th pick for an A.J. Brown? I think
Rob, consider this. They didn't offer the 10th pick for Tyreek Hill. So they're not going to offer the 10th pick for someone else. They offered number 35, number 38, and a third rounder. Okay, for Tyreek Hill. So they're not going to offer the 10th pick, and I just don't see it.
Well, they were turned down for the picks that they did offer. And A.J. Brown's 4 years younger, so is Deebo Samuel. These guys are all in their fourth year. Both of those players are 24 years old. Tyreek is 28. When you're talking speed and physicality like that, guys, I don't know if the Jets may reconsider that.
Yeah, it depends. If you're talking about strictly the 10th pick and nothing else, the 49ers wouldn't take it. The 49ers would want their 10th pick, their 35th, their 38th. They want those 3 picks.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't see the thing. Or number 35, number 38, and then number 1 next year, something like that. It's just not worth it because the Jets, he's not going to push the Jets over the top. I mean, if it's a team like the Packers who might be one dynamic play away, who's a big difference maker, that's another matter. But for the Jets, it just doesn't make sense.
And that's what I'm saying. Even for the Cowboys have more needs than Deebo Samuel.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm saying. It's
and
not
the Cowboys don't have the capital the Jets have.
That's
they don't have the trading chips.
Jacksonville has the capital. The Jets have the capital. Teams with a rookie quarterback on that contract, for the most part, other than the Giants, no offense. Maybe that's why they got a new general manager. Tell Mac that with the Giants. And then there's Cordarius Toney wants out of the New York Giants. That's the other. What is it with these wide receivers? You can't make these
because they saw those salaries. But I think Carlos made a good point. Is that if Deebo wants to go to another team, and you said Jacksonville, does he want to go to the team, even though they have a new head coach that's losing? But he would be closer to South Carolina.
Yeah.
So that's a point you have to make.
Jacksonville's very close to South Carolina.
But you're not going to give up the first pick for him. You're not going to give
if you're the 49ers and Jacksonville calls you and they'll do a one-on-one deal, give us Deebo Samuels. We'll give you the number 1 pick, and that's it. Straight out 1-for-1. You make the deal if you're the 49ers.
Oh, no question.
Well, that's crazy. I mean, 49ers would be foolish not to do that. You could trade it down and get other players. There's so many other needs to get filled. I think it's just this wide receiver thing. These players were drafted in the 2nd round, 3rd round. The leading receiver, Jim and Jack, from the Detroit Lions. He was drafted in the 4th round last year. 900 yards, 90 catches. I think his name is like St. Pete Brown or something like that.
Yeah, he's from USC.
Okay, yeah.
USC. But
Okay.
you make a good point. Where was Cooper Kupp? I'm not sure where he was
3rd
drafted.
round pick.
There you go. There you go.
I say when the league goes one way, go the other. You know?
Yeah, but if you look at wait, but let me go the other way. If you look at last year's draft, the guys picked very high at the top with great receivers. Waddle, Jamar Chase, Devonta Smith. You know, 3 great players drafted very high at the top.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
but what I think you're saying, Robert, is over the long term, you can develop receivers. And I agree with you on that. And that's the problem you have in this draft, because just what you said, Jack, you had Chase, you had Waddle, you had Smith that were picked very high. And they're going to be good players. But at this point, are they really Hall of Fame players? We don't know. We don't know. You might find a guy later on. Jerry Rice was a later pick, and he was a Hall of Famer.
I think DK Metcalf we've got to talk about a little more than Deebo Samuel, because I don't think the 49ers want to make that trade. But Seattle, I think, is very open to trading DK Metcalf because they're in a rebuild. I mean, what's he worth? Is it worth it for a team like the Jets to pull off a big deal? I mean, they might. They just better off drafting one of, the receivers like Wilson, Williams, because they go number 4 overall, so they could get the best receiver in the draft in all probability if they wanted to go in that direction.
Well, it would make sense because the Jets head coach used to be the coordinator of the 49ers. He scouted DK Metcalf twice a year for a few years there, guys. And remember, he's a very young player. You got to look at the age here. So you can grow. You can grow your quarterback there, Wilson, with a DK Metcalf. I like that. And plus, you guys got a lot of money. Corey Davis had a hamstring problem when Tennessee drafted him, and I was glad that he's a Jet. I think he missed a few games last year, right, Jack? Corey Davis?
You know what I'm thinking with these receivers? They're getting paid so much money now, the star receivers. I think you're better off just drafting the best receiver, letting him play a few years, and when he's ready to make the big money and he's talking that he's holding out, you trade him and do the merry-go-round. Let me tell you the best value you can get. Guys, like what the Packers did with Sammy Watkins. He's only 28 years old, and he's not that far removed from when he was a number 1 draft pick, and in fact, Buffalo gave up an extra number 1 to get him. He can have a resurgence. Those are the type of guys I like to go for. Or what Tennessee's doing, getting Robert Woods from the Rams, coming off an injury. I think you're getting better value there than the Tyreek Hills, the DK Metcalfs, the Stephon Diggs, where you're paying them this major money that's tying up your cap.
But here's my point is that if Tennessee has the opportunity to get Metcalf and change A.J. Brown, I'm taking Metcalf. He's an Ole Miss guy. Yeah. He's used to that area. There's still no state tax in Washington or Tennessee.
Yeah.
And he would love that. He comes home. Their pick is in the 20s right now. They're not going to probably find a receiver in the 20s like that. Like Metcalf.
Yeah, and I don't know if they'd want an AJ and a DK. I don't know what they're really thinking. I know.
No, I'm saying they're going to trade AJ.
Oh,
yes.
Hey guys, let me cut in real quick. Like I said, I'm on delay, so I'm hearing things as after you say them. Listen, Robert, anything about going up and down the board, teams making trading draft picks, trying to get in better positions. We talked to Keith. I think the Patriots should trade up to get a defensive lineman or linebacker to help out their defensive run game, because their defensive run game last year was terrible. And to get a safety or to get a wide receiver at this point or running back, I think doesn't really help them. So there's certain teams that I think have to move up and down to get an impact player at their position. And I was suggesting to Keith that maybe the Patriots should do that. Any thoughts on any teams, Patriots or even your team, which you don't have a lot of capital to do? That's for sure. The Titans only got that one first-round pick, and I think you don't go again to the third or fourth round. So is there anything that you can see, any teams that are moving up and down?
Something. This is just me thinking out loud. I know you got Jamie coming on. The Philadelphia Eagles have 3 first-round picks. And I'm telling you guys,
they traded one to New Orleans, Rob. They
still got 2. That's right.
2 next.
I think they got 2 seconds too, though, right?
Right. They have a whole.
That's right. They did trade
one of their 3 in the deal with New Orleans. So I think they go 15 and 17 or 15 and 18.
Okay. I just think that they're not sold on Hurts there. Could they move up if they see a Pickett falling? Somebody like a Kenny Pickett or a Malik Willis, where they fall, and what we've been seeing is they're not going to go. I think possibly I could see them moving up because they can't, after what they saw in the last game, what the owners saw in that Tampa Bay playoff game. Are you really sold on Jalen Hurts?
I disagree. I think they're going to go with Hurts and let him.
You think so?
See if he develops. I think you got to remember this was a playoff team in the first year coach, and they've got those picks. They're going to use them for the best available athletes, but mostly I think they're going to use them for offensive linemen and defensive linemen because that's where their issues were.
Yeah.
Now, guys, I'm missing something, Rob. Between you and Pags, all this Kenny Pickett talk. Pags is saying the Giants are going to draft Kenny Pickett. You're saying they might move up. Kenny Pickett could be the next Andy Dalton if all works out. He's not going to be elite. I mean, supposedly next year you're getting a really good quarterback prop coming out. I just don't see anyone moving up for Kenny Pickett.
He ran a 4.54. He's not Andy. I see. That's what I'm saying. I don't understand where this is coming from. This guy ran a 4.540 at the combine. He exploded for 1 year, and people were saying that's a bad thing. He's going to be 24 more mature than most players. He's only 1 year younger than Sam Darnold, believe it or not. That's how young Sam Darnold was. And the only issue is his hand size, guys.
Yeah. And they did say that he did well in the interviews.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are saying Willis might have a better upside than he does. I don't know.
He's got more game. He's quicker. He's shiftier.
I don't understand. They have Malik Willis throwing the ball to no one is rushing him. It's like hitting the punching bag and saying, "Oh, he's going to be a great fighter. We've got to draft." If it was boxing, we got to draft the guy because he hits the heavy bag and looks so good. No one is rushing him, so he has a strong arm. Big deal. I could probably find some guys off the street with no football experience who could fling the football far.
And with the quarterbacks, when you draft a quarterback number 1, the expectations are different. They expect this guy, and you see it. They expect him to be in the lineup in a year or two. If they're not, then there's something wrong, just like we're seeing with Love and Lance.
Yeah.
So that's the thing you got to look at.
Yeah, especially Love. Now, every mock I've looked at, guys, it's Atlanta and Carolina. Those two are probably going to take Pickett and Willis, or Willis and Pickett. Mm-hmm. I'm just not sure which one's going to do which. But my guess is those two guys will probably go in the top 10 between Atlanta and Carolina. And I've looked at
and that's good for the teams that are picking in the 20s because that's going to push guys down. And what you said, now teams are going to look at, well, we got a guy there, just like Keith was saying about Dean, the linebacker. They might push up and try to. I mean, that's the thing you're going to look at. Some of the teams that are drafted in the 20s might try to get up in the teens.
Correct.
Robert, let me jump in here real quick. So I don't know if they'll get the singer Wilson Pickett or not with their first pick or not, because they're waiting to the midnight hour. But what do you think about the Titans? I mean, what do you think about their first round pick? Because listen, they've got one pick in the first round. The player positions you need are going to be hard to get in that first round. I've been hearing offensive tackle, defensive line, which is really what you guys got the best running blocking team, I think, in the league, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
You really don't need that. I heard backup running backs. What do you think? What direction do you think the Titans are going to go in with their first pick?
Well, they had a really good run blocking guard last year. And Roger Saffold, he was a cap casual. He's 33, I want to say. Saffold, they cut him. He's now with the Buffalo Bills, which they need a better running game. He signed up with them. I think they take this guy, Kenyon Green, Texas A&M left guard. A lot of the mocks got him taken, and I think that's where they should go to maintain that offensive line and keep a higher graded person on that offensive line. They could get these other positions elsewhere. Now, if they trade A.J. Green, all that is out the window. I doubt they're going to trade A.J. Green, but a guy like this, Kenyon Green from Texas A&M, or possibly more targets for Tannehill this year, since I think they're probably going to go with Tannehill. Maybe a guy, let's see, what is his name? They've got a tight end that people keep talking about out of Colorado State here. And I'm looking for his name now, and it's slipping.
Trey McBride, and that's the one I was talking.
Yeah,
that makes more sense. This guy, I recruited him out of high school.
Did you really?
He was the state champion in Colorado in wrestling, and he's a tight end. But he could be an H-back, and they need an H-back.
He kind of looked like Chris Cooley on some of his highlights.
Yes.
I mean, Hal Robbins just looking at that.
I got to ask
his brother played at Colorado State. That's why he went to Colorado State. But this guy is put together.
I got to ask Jim this because Jim has a background in wrestling. Tyler Lindenbaum was a wrestler. So they say based on that, he's going to be a better football player. He's a guard/center. He's a better pass protector because of his wrestling experience. Does one get linked to the other?
Because it's balance. You learn to balance yourself because everything is down the center. The really good wrestlers have great balance and they understand leverage. And you learn it in centers and interior guys that are good wrestlers. And you see it a lot in really linebackers, really good linebackers that are wrestlers understand leverage.
Yeah, Jack, that is the center out of Iowa. I wouldn't lose one bit of sleep if they drafted that guy you just mentioned.
Tyler Lindenbaum.
Lindenbaum out of Iowa. And move Ben Jones to guard, or you move him to guard and let Ben Jones continue to play center.
Let me ask you this, Robert. By the third round, Tennessee has a first-round pick that goes in the third round. If one of the quarterbacks we've heard about, Pickett won't be there, Willis won't be there, but maybe Ritter from Cincinnati, if he's hanging around in the third round, Ryan Tannehill, might be under the microscope a bit because he played so poorly in the playoff game last year. Yeah. Does Tennessee maybe draft a quarterback in the third round? A value pick if one of them is like a Sam Howell is still hanging around, Matt Corral, just one of them that they just grab them.
John Robinson's been known to be aggressive in the past, the general manager here. I would not be one bit surprised if he's at the end of the second round and Robertson puts together a package to move up and mortgage more of the future to go after maybe a Sam Howell. Ritter may be a late first rounder. They may take Ritter. At 26. I hope that they've done their homework on this, and I do not believe in reaching. I always bring up the Christian Ponder draft. Remember Christian Ponder from Minnesota? He wasn't that good at Florida State. I saw him. But if Ritter he did so bad in that Alabama game, I think that it took a lot to get his stock back up.
Yeah, but do you think that was more that Alabama was a superior team and they had superior players? Do you all blame it on Ritter, or do you blame it on the talent at Alabama? Alabama is still, that's just like JV playing a varsity. Let's be honest.
Yeah, and I think the owners see that, Jim, and they think, I don't know about this kid. And of course, you got football guys like yourself say, wait a minute, there's a huge talent differential team-wise. He don't have the time to throw. Alabama's got a good secondary. We're playing 5 stars and 4 stars versus 1 and 0 stars here.
Exactly.
So Robert, give us your first round pick, and then me, Jack, and Jim will tell you what we think will happen.
Yeah, Kenyon Green from Texas A&M, I think, is who Tennessee's going to pick, the left guard there.
He's supposed to be really versatile, that they can, move him around the line, and gives Ryan Tannehill that pass protection. So no excuse for Ryan Tannehill.
Man.
And there's nothing wrong with that pick, but I think they're going to take McBride. I think they're going to
if they go with McBride, I'm not losing. Put him with Austin Hooper, Jim.
Yeah.
They've already signed him. That's what they need to open up the middle of the field.
Exactly. So I think he'll be more at the beginning, more of the blocking H-back or tight end. You can use him in both positions, and he helps them offensively.
Yeah.
Jim, I think that's a heck of a pick. I think he's a great tight end. In fact, if the Giants didn't get a couple of tight ends, I might have looked at him, second round or whatever for the Giants. But let me give me your first hot take here, Robert.
Okay.
The Giants trade Kadarius Toney, the Tennessee Titans, for the 26th pick in the NFL draft. How about
They would never do that, Matt. Come on. I mean,
now we're going to argue with you, Matt. I wouldn't take Kadarius Toney because
they might not even give up a third round. You think the Giants would get a number 1 pick for Toney? I don't think they get a number 2 pick. Maybe a number 3 pick at most. They would get a third round draft selection at most for Kadarius Toney, a guy with an attitude. Come on.
I mean, the guy's been hurt. Now he's not coming to OTAs. I mean, come on, let's be serious.
Well, in Mac's defense, they do need a speedster. He can run. He could be a deep threat. I see it. But Tennessee has taken chances on troubled players before. They took a guy out of Georgia one year and had to cut him. You know what I'm talking about, Jim.
Their offensive lineman,
Yeah.
But
and
this
traded
is different.
him for a 7th round pick.
That's what I'm saying. You're not going to trade him for a first round pick. Come on. Tony's going. I mean, it's going to end up. He's probably going to get cut.
Wow. Well,
so
what do you think?
So what's great is
now?
I get to hear you guys yell at me. You get to hear you guys yell at me later in the discussion, which is great. So
no, guys. Some team will give Kadarius Toney a chance, without a doubt.
That's not what we're saying.
Talent, but not for a high draft pick. They're not going to give up much. The Giants will be lucky to get a 4th round draft pick for him, because after one season, they want to get rid of a talent like that. These teams don't want the headache.
Exactly.
I mean, the Packers might take him cheap for a 5th round selection, figuring we'll cut him if we have to, but maybe he's a weapon there.
Guys, we'll see what happens. I gave you my first hot take. I know Tennessee needs a speed slot guy. Maybe maybe the head coach of the Titans can work with him. I don't know. They would have to interview and all that stuff. Maybe 1st round pick is a little high, but it was interesting anyway to say that. Robert, it will be on the NFL Draft Special, 2nd annual, with me, Jack, and Keith. Did a great job last year. We'll have, as I said before, on live reports with the Philly Sports Guy, Jetman, and a couple others. And we'll have special guests like Jim Jeffcoat and Byron Williams coming in as the teams make their picks. And we'll find out, if Robert's correct. He probably is. I like Jim's pick with McBride. I think that's an excellent pick. If he should fall to that place too. I don't think he's going to be taken before the 26th. If they pick up McBride, there's instant help for the quarterback, a good blocker. I mean, and he catches the ball great in traffic. So that's something the Titans really need. They do need some kind of outlet. If not a slot receiver, I think McBride's a heck of a pick. So we'll see what happens. Robert, thank you for coming in. We're going to take a quick break as best I can. And on the other side, guys, we're going to have the Philly sports guy to explain to us why he's picking an offensive guard to play quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles next year, because he loves them big guys. So we'll be right back after these messages. Robert, again, thank you. We'll see you Thursday, 7:30 if you can make it at that time. If not, I know you're busy. You work a lot. Pop in when you can. We'll be waiting for you. Okay, Robert?
Okay, guys. Have a good show.
All right. Have a good Sunday, Robert.
All right, brother.
All right, buddy.
Okay, folks. So that was Robert Butler with SportsScope, and we'll take a couple messages here, and hopefully I'll come back in time like I'm supposed to. And on the other side, as I said, Pags' pick for the quarterback is the offensive tackle out of Georgia, who will replace Hurts as the quarterback, and he will just throw the ball and knock everybody down after he throws the ball. So that's who Pags likes, and that's who we'll be looking for. So right after this, folks, we'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back after these messages. Let's see if everything works out, guys. And there it is. We'll be right back, folks.
When the job is done, this guy will be ready to dig into something mighty good to eat.
How do you handle a hungry man? The manhandlers.
One of the manhandlers is Campbell's vegetable beef. Gets a man-sized supper off to a good hot start. Good.
The manhandlers.
If you served honorably in our nation's armed forces and you're looking for a way to continue serving your fellow veterans in your community, then join AMVETS. Each year, AMVETS members volunteer millions of hours at VA healthcare facilities from coast to coast, helping to improve the lives of their fellow veterans through the VA Voluntary Services Program. AMVETS posts and departments also participate in a wide variety of community service projects, ranging from Americanism in our schools to supporting the Special Olympics and Boy Scouts of America. If you no longer wear the uniform today, you can still serve through the AMVETS by joining today at amvets.org.
Presents Chester Cheetah. I'm Chester Cheetah. I'm just a cool dude in a loose mood. Until I see those Cheetos. Then my cool turns to drool. My style and ease surrender to my urge for the snack that goes crunch. It's not easy being cheesy. Cheetos cheese-flavored snack. Cheese that goes crunch.
Hi, Grandma. What's for dinner?
Hey, honey, I'm making stew tonight.
Ooh, can Nina come over?
I'm not sure about our new friend. I wonder if there's been any drinking going on. Alcohol at her age can lead to so many bad things. I've been meaning to ask you, what would happen if someone offered you a drink?
Grandma?
This is hard. She's so young, but I know I need to talk to her about it now before someone tries to give her alcohol. If anyone ever does offer you a drink, I want you to say no. I have too much respect for my family, and I don't want to get in trouble.
Okay.
Really?
I promise, Grandma. I love you too.
Okay, how about tasting this stew and telling me what you think?
Some children may try alcohol as young as 9 years old. It's not too early to talk about drinking. For tips on how to begin the conversation, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. That's underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. This message brought to you by SAMHSA and this station.
I heard you want to be a frito bandito like me. You do? Then you must sing the bandito song. Let's sing together. You just follow the bouncing Fritos corn chips bag. Ay, 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 ay. I am the frito bandito. Hey, I like Fritos corn chips. I love them, I do. I want Fritos corn chips. I'll get them from you. Ay, 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 ay. Oh, I am the frito bandito. Give me Fritos corn chips and I'll be your friend. The frito bandito, you must not offend. Now, boys and girls, you are frito banditos too. You sing the frito bandito song and you loco for crunchy Fritos corn chips. That's nice. Munch, munch, munchy bunchy Fritos corn chips.
If you talk and they will hear you every single time.
Now we're getting killed. Yeah,
Well, Kyle's not here. How come? Kicked off the team. Didn't Tim tell you? Kyle and some other kids got caught drinking beer in the park a couple of nights ago.
Really?
Yeah. Zero tolerance. He's out for the season.
Come on, it's a first offense, right?
That we know of. But why should that matter? He knew not to drink. I've made it clear to Matt that's what we expect from him. What have you said to Tim?
Nothing really. You know, a lot of kids try it at this age, so
Yeah, well, a lot of kids don't try it too. I'm not saying that Matt's going to be this perfect kid, but if I don't tell him what we expect and why he shouldn't drink, how's he going to know?
You think kids that age really listen?
They never admit it, Bill, but they hear more than you think.
Talk. They hear you. For more information about talking with kids about underage drinking, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
Good morning. You're listening to the Mac and Jack Sports Show on Northeast Streaming Sports.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Mac, Jack, and Jim Mock Draft Special. Again, folks, to let you know, I cannot hear myself. Pags, to let you know, on the program, I'm going through a second device to try to listen, but of course, it's on the delay. So I'm letting Jim and Jack do most of the ball carrying here, and I will probably interrupt you in mid-sentence because I'm not sure if you're going or not, and to ask you questions. So bear with me, Pags. Let's bring him up. The Philly sports guy, Jamie Pags, giving his rendition of what the Eagles will do in their draft, their 2 first-round draft picks, which is very important to the Eagles to keep building their team and going in the right direction. Pags, welcome to the show, and please let us know what the Eagles are going to do with their first-round picks this year in the NFL draft.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Pags.
So I actually have the Eagles with the 15th pick trading out. And I suspect that Pittsburgh will trade with them to get that 15th pick to get above the Saints to pick a quarterback. So the first thing I think is that the Eagles will trade out of the number 15 spot. They will probably receive an extra second-round pick or a third-round pick this year, a second-round pick next year is what I suspect would be the worth for that. And after that, I think that with the 18th pick in the draft, I have them choosing, if Jermaine Johnson is there, which I do not suspect he will from Florida State, that's a defensive end, I have them taking Jordan Davis, a defensive tackle from Georgia. And that guy's 6'6", 341 pounds, 4'7", 840. That's a big boy. You know what I mean? You know how I like big guys on the line. And I think that that's actually a great pick for them. And then coming back with the 20th pick from Pittsburgh, that they would get Andrew Booth, a cornerback from Clemson. 6 foot, 200 pounds. And I think those are the 2 first-round picks for the Eagles.
I don't think you're giving Mike Tomlin enough credit for being intelligent. He knows this quarterback class isn't that good to actually trade down. Not to say he wouldn't take a quarterback if one didn't fall into his lap at number 20. I'm not saying he wouldn't take a quarterback, but I can't see him trading down. They're just not that good. I mean, what's he going to do? Take Malik Willis and he's going to sit the end? We don't know how good Malik Willis is going to be. He's a true wild card. And you have a good quarterback class next year. He's got Mitch Trubisky. I think if anyone's going to be aggressive, it's going to be the Eagles maybe trading down, from their 2 picks to want to move up to get a serious impact player, to maybe move up to number 6 for argument's sake. If Carolina wasn't going to take a quarterback, maybe they do business and the Eagles could get one of the impact players instead.
I'm sorry.
No, all I was going to say was I agree with Jack. It doesn't make sense for the Eagles to do that right now because Pittsburgh, just like Jack, I don't think they're going to jump up to get one of these quarterbacks because these quarterbacks are not as good as even last year's class. And I know that a lot of people are thinking, well, maybe the Eagles will, but I just disagree with it. I think the Eagles are going – you have a good point on the defensive lineman, if he's there, which I doubt he'll be there. But I think they're going to look at outside guys, perimeter guys, or linebackers. They're going to look at those guys because that's where their issues are.
I'd love for them to look at linebackers, but they don't. They don't value that enough. So that's part of the problem there. And I think that you guys, from what I've been hearing, and from what I suspect, the guy from Pittsburgh, I think, is going to be there. The quarterback from Pittsburgh at 15, and I think that they're going to make an organizational decision at that moment because they're going to suspect that it's not going to get past the Saints twice. Because I think the Saints would take him with one of their picks. So to make sure to get above that, that's why I think Pittsburgh would take a risk. And like I said, giving up a 3rd round pick in this draft and a 2nd round pick in next year's draft isn't a big haul to give away.
But Pat, what you got to look at is, has Pittsburgh, they've never done this. They've never, ever looked at a situation where they've done this. This would be new to them. So just like you said, I understand what you're saying, but that's not Pittsburgh. They're going to develop from inside.
Well, and what better way than to get a quarterback who's used to playing in that stadium?
They even did Big Ben. They didn't get Big Ben. They got Big Ben.
Well, they drafted Big Ben.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But it wasn't. They didn't move up to get him.
Right. Well, but even so, Ben was actually listed as like a 3rd rounder, and they got him in the 1st round. So I mean, they definitely and they were obviously smarter.
11, he actually slid. He was supposed to go higher, Big Ben. It was a surprise that he slid down a little bit. They invested time in Mason Rudolph. I know you might say he's not the answer. He's a backup. But why have a guy on your team all those years? And when you invest so many years in a guy, you have to have some type of faith in him that him along with Mitch Trubisky, one of them is going to be an answer. Maybe Mitch Trubisky has a heck of a good year. He went number 3 overall at one point. And there's your problem itself.
And then you look at it, obviously, that is these guys, if Pickett, Willis, or some Ritter, are they going to come in and be immediate starters? If you're going to pick them, you're going to pay them like immediate starters. And it's very unlikely.
And I disagree with that. I absolutely disagree with that. I think that they're going to come in and hold the clipboard for a year because Pittsburgh does things a little old school.
Pags, but you're telling me as far as making a deal and moving up, they can't really move up until the draft is underway because the big wild card is the Carolina Panthers. They go number 6, and they're in need of a quarterback. Okay, they're looking at the guys, and if they don't go with one of these guys in the draft, it tells you a lot of what they think their capabilities are because they badly need, a quarterback.
Well, I also believe that it's not all just Carolina because I believe that the Seahawks are also going to have a say, and whoever drafts the first quarterback is going to create the whirlwind for quarterbacks. And as I hear myself talking in the background.
But they got Drew Lock. They're putting their faith in Drew Lock to see what he can do this year. Okay.
Yeah, there's not faith in Drew Lock. They're going to take a quarterback. They're going to need one. They need a quarterback. I think they're going to probably take the guy from Liberty if he falls that far.
Yeah, but Pags, I mean, you take a quarterback that high, he better be, or you're going to be like you seen the graveyard of quarterbacks that became busts. So I'm just saying you're playing with fire because there's other positions that probably can come and give you immediate results as opposed to the quarterback right now.
It's interesting to me because it always, if we all listen to the media all the time, that would tell me that the media is, batting 1,000, and they don't bat 1,000.
No.
So there's reasons why they say, oh, this quarterback class, stinks out loud. But truth of the matter is that you have some really good quarterbacks that come out.
So guys, let me get in here a minute. We're going away from the point. We got Pags 2 picks. He thinks they're going to move up, and he gave us who the picks were. So before you two go, let me tell you what I think the Philadelphia Eagles will do. I think with their first pick in the first round, if he's there, of course, I think they're going to go with Jamison Williams from Alabama. I think he might fall that low for him. That will give Devontae Smith and that will give Hurts the kind of 2 wide receivers where they could probably compete with Dallas if the game turns into a throwing game. Right now they can't. They have to control the ball and hope they can get the ball away from Dallas to maybe win that game. Philadelphia needs a number 2 receiver very badly. I think Williamson might fall because of injuries and stuff like that. So I think that the Eagles will go after him if he's there. And with their second pick, the Eagles need tremendous help at defensive back. They were the worst in completion coverage in the league last year, tied at 64.9%. So if you wanted to beat the Eagles, you had to throw on them like Dallas did or other teams that beat the Eagles. If the Eagles didn't control the ball and keep the ball away from you, they could give up quick scores very easily. So I suspect that the Eagles will go after a defensive back. I'm looking at Dayton Hill from Michigan, very explosive out of the breaks. He's a very good cover guy. He's aggressive. He hits hard when he gets to the wide receiver. So I think the Eagles will go bags. They're going to go offensive, defensive line. I just don't think they're going to go that way in the first round. There you have 2 impact players that can start maybe right away for you. So I'll turn it over to Jim and Jack and get their thoughts.
See, I disagree with you. I think Davis is a great pick for him. And I think they're going to take him at 15 because you don't find guys. And I like that. Now, the cornerback makes sense. And the wide receiver. But they got to get better defensively. And
I looked at Booth. Better than the guy from Michigan. The guy from Clemson, better than the guy from Michigan. I think he's got a little bit more speed. I think he's got a little bit more punch to his hit. And, I'm big on closing speed. With the wide receivers today, they're always going to have the move to get by the cornerback. And it's a matter of how quickly that cornerback can get back to the receiver again. And that's what I call the closing speed. And my expectation is that, or my look, when I look at both of them, is that Booth has got better closing speed and that he's going to be able to get back to the receiver after he gets beat a little bit. Now, unfortunately, one of his weaknesses is he falls for the move. You know what I mean? He can get beat by a double move, but he is able. But that's one of his strengths is that he is able to get back to the receiver pretty quickly. Where I feel that the guy from Michigan isn't as strong in that department, and I feel that learning how to not get beat by the double move is something that can be taught in the NFL. There's certain skills that I feel that as a cornerback, you automatically have to have. Speed is one of them. And the fear of not getting hurt when you hit somebody is another one. Those 2 things, because a lot of cornerbacks don't like to tackle. And I want a cornerback that is not afraid of smacking somebody, and that's, so you got to have a little bit of reckless abandon, not a lot, but a little bit, so that you can, you want a receiver to know that, hey, if you're going to catch these balls, I'm going to put a helmet on you. And I think that the guy from Clemson's got that. And I'm not a big Clemson fan. I can't stand Clemson, to be honest. But when I think about just the players and having him on this team, I think that he would be a really good addition. And you're right. I love Jordan Davis, and I feel like that he would be just watching him go up against, it's funny because I had Mailata next to me yesterday. He was there for my my fundraiser, and even just without pads on, that guy is just such a monster. At 6'8", 365 pounds, and you put the two of them together, like just going up against each other, and I think that Davis would just Davis is also a monster. So now you got two monsters, one monster on either side. Put him next to Fletcher Cox, and you're not running the ball on that line. You have somebody who actually has some speed to be able to get to the quarterback some. So I like the Davis pick. I like Jermaine Johnson. I think he's a little small to be an edge rusher. He's only like 265 pounds. So I would rather somebody a little bit bigger and has that speed. So that's why I would prefer Davis over Johnson. But I don't think Johnson's going to make it that far. I think Johnson goes somewhere around 12 or 13.
Pags, let's remember what the Eagles did last year. If they have their sights on one player and he's falling towards them and he's a few picks away, they'll deal like they did with Devonta Smith. They dealt with the Cowboys even, and to move up a couple of spots, they gave the Cowboys a third-round draft pick. That was bold. Let's say, for argument's sake, they Kayvon Thibodeau, very controversial guy. He falls to number 8 or 9 in that range. I could see them making a deal, giving up their number 15 overall, and then a number 3rd and 4th round draft pick, throw it on top of that to move up 5-6 spots and make a deal. That would be, their impact guy. I mean, that's how they did it last year with Devonta Smith. And that would give them their big pass rusher, to play with Cox,
Yeah, but Pags makes a good point. If they're going to do that, the guy they're going to get is Stingley from LSU. He fits all what.
He's a corner. He's a corner.
And he's supposed to be in that round and in those rounds. I mean,
people think Stingley's going to go to the Vikings at number 12. That's where he's been projected all over. So they're going to have to make a move up to get Stingley.
They can do that. They have draft capital to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and to be honest, I think that they're not going to trade both of their first round picks. They want 2 players.
Oh, no question.
So I wouldn't suspect that they're going to trade both of them to try to move up really high.
Yeah.
I don't think Jacksonville or Detroit is going to go there, because I think you have dreams of Hutchinson, but truth of the matter is that he's going to go 1 or 2. And I don't think that they have enough in the coffers to be able to get all the way up there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that like I said, I think that Pittsburgh is going to be a little bit more active than they're used to being. I don't think that especially since they have a quarterback opening now because of the unfortunate thing that happened to Haskins. There's an expectation that I think that they're going to get a quarterback. But I also think that the Giants are going to pick a quarterback amongst what everybody else says that they're not.
You're still sticking with Kenny Pickett at either number 5 or 7 to go to the Giants?
No,
I'm going to leave the telecast because Mac is about to rip you on this.
But because I think that they can think about the quarterback.
Pags, I got to interrupt you there because you don't follow the Giants, you follow Philadelphia, and I'm telling you right now, if the Giants did that, that GM might be gone the next day. That's what would happen there. That's ridiculous. Neither one of those, none of those quarterbacks are good as Daniel Jones or even good as Tyrod Taylor. So if they're going to do that, they would put Tyrod Taylor as starting quarterback. But Pags, we'll be there with the draft special the 28th, folks, 7:30 Thursday night. He'll be live from the draft room himself reporting. We're going to get his reaction, of course, to what's going on there, what the Philadelphia Eagles, when their picks come up, we'll have them there live for you. Pags, good luck to you, man. I hope the Eagles make out good and you guys are competitive like you were next year, maybe even a little bit better, because, I want the NFC East overall to get stronger every year. I want to see us coming up and really raising Cain in the NFC this year. So you have a great day, Pags. We'll see you Thursday. And I guess I kind of root for the Eagles a little bit, just for the NFC East case itself. Like it kills me to root for the Cowboys. So
And
we'll
you better
see
believe
we'll
you
see
better
you,
believe that if I
Thursday,
take
Pags. You have
if
a great
Giants take a quarterback, if the Giants take a quarterback in those first two picks, I am calling in and I am going to be dancing a jig because again, I am right and you are wrong because
Pags,
that's what's going to happen.
Pags, I'm going to put you in timeout, Pags. If you come on talking that nonsense again, I'm going to put you in timeout like I do Jack every time he gets out of hand. We'll see you Thursday, Pags. Have a great day, my friend.
All right, you too, guys.
All right, see you later, Pags.
I just want to say one thing quickly. I always thought about this. You take an owner who's like a mad scientist who forces his GM to keep taking quarterback after quarterback in the draft, have 6 guys come to camp, and just let them battle it out, and probably one of them somehow emerges as an elite guy, and keep doing it every year. Do nothing but draft quarterbacks till you get your guy. It's absolutely insane, but actually you'd probably find your quarterback sooner or later.
I think Seattle did that. That's how they got Russell Wilson to become their number 1 quarterback. If I'm not mistaken, there was like 4 or 5
Russell Wilson, I think,
quarterbacks
went number 2
in the room.
Folks,
we're going to take our second official timeout. Believe it or not, I can hear the commercials. I just can't hear you guys. It's ridiculous. Folks, we're going to be right back after these messages. Stick with us as I, Jim, and Jack will give our team's first-round picks, and we'll talk about that a little bit. So stick with us. More to come, folks.
McDonald's is our kind of place. It's such a happy place. Happy place. A clean and happy place. McDonald's is our kind of place. It's such a happy place. McDonald's is our kind of place. Your kind of place.
McDonald's believes in getting food to your kids before they get to each other. Such good food, too. McDonald's famous French fries, triple thick creamy shakes, lean beefy cheeseburgers and hamburgers, icy cold soft drinks. And here's a plus, spill-proof lids on all beverages. Another plus, napkins that are big as a bib. Quality, cleanliness, extra care service. That's McDonald's. A total value that's unmatched anywhere.
McDonald's is our kind of place. It's such a happy place. McDonald's is our kind of place.
Your kind of place.
When you hear the word asthma, you probably think of shortness of breath, coughing, or inhalers. Lots of things can trigger asthma, but the fact is that asthma doesn't just attack, it can kill. But with proper medical management, asthma is controllable. If you experience shortness of breath, wheezing, tightness in your chest, or persistent nighttime coughing, you may have asthma. See your doctor and get the facts. You'll breathe easier. For more information, call 211 Infoline. A message from the Connecticut Department of Public Health, keeping Connecticut healthy.
TV channel.
Shaker is the one bit to have when you're having more than one. Shaker pleasure doesn't fade even when your thirst is done. The most rewarding flavor in this man's world for people who are having fun. Shaker is the one bit to have when you're having more than one.
Ever wonder what makes Schaefer the one beer to have when you're having more than one? One reason is more than one fermentation. Most brewers just ferment their beer once, but Schaefer is fermented twice. Once to make it beer, and twice to make it Schaefer. The one beer with flavor so fine, it keeps shining through glass after frosty glass. More than one fermentation is one reason. But of course, there's more than one reason behind the one beer to have when you're having more than one.
We all make choices. When it comes to alcohol, kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad.
Bye-bye.
Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Hey, have a seat for a second. Remind me about that party again?
Alex is just...
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. They want guidance and honest answers to their questions. And it makes a difference when the message is consistent and part of everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
I mean, you can see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboy fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready. I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face. Oh, I'm from Brooklyn. Hey, isn't he?
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Mac, Jack, and Jim Mock Draft Special. Our first one we've ever done. If you hear some echoing in the back, that is my other device I'm listening to try to hear what's going on there. We're live on Roku TV, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook. And again, thank you to Jack and Jim for carrying this for me, since I really can't keep up as I interrupt our guests unwillingly. But, just to try to get my 2 cents in and keep the show going along. So this is the time of show where me, Jack, and Jim do our talking, where we get paid all the big bucks that we do for doing this show. And guys, I want to take a look at our teams, right? The Giants, the Jets, and the Cowboys. And I'm gonna start it off, since I'm gonna be listening to you guys for the most part. To let you know, Byron Williams came in on Friday and put his 2 picks in. We didn't debate him at all, because really, he's on a Friday show and we are limited in time. But Byron, he picked. Let me see if I got this right. He picked Thibodeau as our defensive lineman, and he also picked Davis from Notre Dame, the safety. Those are the 2. He went defense, as I'm going to go, even though the Giants hired an offensive coordinator as their head coach. I think they did a lot of in free agency with their offensive linemen. They picked up 5 offensive linemen from different teams, and not scrubs either.
Kyle Hamilton from Notre Dame, safety.
So anyway, the offensive linemen they picked up weren't scrubs. They still got Pert. They still got Thomas. They still got Shane LeMahieu. So I think they're not going to go offensive line. That's just my thought. Wide receivers, I think they're pretty well set. I think Tony is probably gone, which I'm glad about. And they do have some quality wide receivers. So these are my 2 picks, guys. And with one of them, I'm going with Byron, safety from Notre Dame, Davis, who, to me, the Giants have lost Jabril Peppers. They've lost Logan, and they got a big hole there right now. Xavier McDaniel is going to be a great wide receiver. He showed that last year when he came in and played full-time with a few interceptions. He's very aggressive. They need a safety, and this safety is 6'4", guys. He's great on the deep end. He's aggressive. He can play on the line, and I think that's going to be their first choice, is they're going to take safety Davis from Notre Dame. And with their second pick, I'm going to go defensive end too, but I'm not going to go with Thibodeau. I'm going to go with the guy out of let me see if I can get him real quick. He's from Purdue, and it's let me see if I can find him.
Cartis.
Yes.
George Cartis.
It's hard to pronounce this. George Karlaftis.
Yes.
Karlaftis. He's 6'4", 266 pounds. He's a good pass rusher, and he can play the run. He's good in the 4-3 defense. I expect the Giants to change from 3-4 to 4-3 with the Baltimore Ravens defensive coach. And I think they got to depend more on a defensive lineman because their linebackers are good, but they're not great. So I think they're going to change to a 4-3. I like Karlaftis. I think he's going to be a good addition, and he doesn't have the problems that maybe Thibodeau has. So those are my 2 picks, guys. Go ahead and go at me, whatever you want to say, and then we'll go to Jack with the Jets picks, and then we'll follow up last with Dallas with Jim.
Karlaftis at number 7, that's too much of a reach. No way. He's like
There's
a late first
if
round.
Thibodeau's there, they're going to take Thibodeau. Don't fool yourself.
Thibodeau, I'm not that sure that Thibodeau isn't this year's Warren Sapp, who might just fall just enough. I mean, when I say fall, maybe he could fall to number 11 and number 12 or thereabouts. I wouldn't be totally shocked on that. And keep in mind the Giants' mentality. Is he that type of player, the way the organization is and what they look for in players? You know, flamboyant, this and that, and he's kind of gone Hollywood a little bit, you know, and he's not a fundamentally sound player. He's just overpowering, you know, tremendous talent. I'm not sure he fits into the mold of the Giants type of player for Thibodeau to be taken. That's just my thought.
I disagree. I think that Thibodeau, if he jumps to the Giants would be crazy not to take him. Here's you got it. Myles Garrett. You talk about a renaissance man. Myles Garrett was a renaissance man, and we know how talented he was. Thibodeau's the same way. He's just not that, you know, he doesn't breathe, eat football. And some guys are like that, but they play hard. And the kid has had a lot of production. I think we're over-analyzing this kid because he's not going to be in there. Let's be honest. Football is not end-all for him. He has other interests. But Myles Garrett did. I mean, you see Myles Garrett in the dunk contest and things like that. The kid can play. The kid, I think he's being over-analyzed because he doesn't fit the model. And like you said, some team's going to get a good player. He's not going to be a bust because he's too talented. He's an LA kid. You talk about Hollywood, Jack. He's an LA kid. But the kid has always played hard. He's always been productive. I think this kid is getting a raw deal myself. And if he's
they don't want to hear, Jim, you know full well NFL teams don't want to hear a player who says he can do other things besides football. It's not the most important thing in his life. They don't want to hear that. They want to hear.
Yeah, but we don't know that, Jack. We don't know if the kid is truly that way. I mean, there's other guys. Michael Strahan is on Good Morning America. He did other things besides football.
But I think he was a second-round draft pick, if I'm not mistaken.
But,
no, I'm not saying how good Thibodeau is going to be. I'm not judging that. I'll go along with you. He'll be a very good, maybe an outstanding NFL player. I'm just saying where he might get drafted. I don't think he'll drop that much. A little bit, that he's going to slide just a little bit.
Because you look at the players, the great players, the Sapp, there were issues off the field that were people had concerns about. Same with Randy Moss. They turned out to be great NFL players, but those issues are different from what's going on with Thibodeau, to my opinion. That's my opinion on it.
It's interesting the Giants would, if Mac's pick comes to fruition, you're talking about 2 pass rushes maybe, even though Karlaftis isn't that great of a pass rusher, really. He's a bit of a project. But I kind of like that in a way you address one, kind of position big time. I mean, you're really making a statement, as far as shoring up, your defensive line by doing that.
Yeah, I wouldn't take the kid from Purdue that high.
No way. I mean, if anything, if you love that kid so much, trade down. He'll be there. He'll be there at 18 and 19 to pick.
I don't think, honestly, God, I don't think Thibodeau is going to be there for the Giants. I think he'll be taken before that. I think there's a lot of talk about Thibodeau. I think it's a smokescreen. I think Thibodeau will be taken before Karlaftis. And Karlificus is raised on the board significantly in the last board that I saw. He's moving up, and I think the reason why he is moving up is because his play against the run too. And I think he's got enough pressure in him. He's got enough raw talent and can be taught to play against the pass. Their rookie defensive end / linebacker last year, his name escapes me right now, had a good season. He did have a good season. That would give him bookends. And, of course, in the middle, you got Lawrence and you've got Williams. That, I think, would strengthen their defensive line. But they definitely need defensive backfield help. Offense, I think the new scheme and strategy that the Buffalo offensive coordinator, it's now the head coach, will implement that and use the players he has better. I think he'll be better with those players. So that's why I think they're going defense. Now, that's just my thoughts. And the reason why I didn't take Thibodeau, honestly, is because I don't think he's going to make it down that low. I think somebody's going to
be shocked if he is. Keep in mind, only 4 teams go ahead of the Giants. And Jacksonville either takes Hutchinson or they take Neal in all probability to address, they're talking about maybe taking Evan Neal to address the offensive line because they have a lot invested in Trevor Lawrence. And then at number 2, if they do take Neal, I mean, the Lions aren't going to take Thibodeau next. I don't want to say guarantee it, but they'll have Hutchinson, their hometown guy, there for them. So, he goes 1-2. Now you go third with Houston, a dysfunctional organization, and they're talking about addressing their offensive line, okay? And that leaves the Jets, who I'll talk about later, 1 slot ahead of the Giants. And, I'm not that sure. I mean, I think there's a good chance he would be there for the Giants at number 5. I really do. An excellent chance.
There's a guy at Florida State named Jermaine Johnson that he's probably a top 10 pick. And if he's there with the Giants and Wink Martindale's off defense, he fits what they do. A little bit undersized, but he can play off and on the ball, and that's what Martindale likes. And I don't think it's a hybrid offense. There are times it looks like a 4-3, but it's a 3-4 concept because they're blitzing from everywhere with Martindale. So it's a kind of a hybrid defense, It's a hybrid defense.
Well, a guy like that, you could trade down some slots, and you're gambling that you can still get him. Because, they once in a while a team comes up with a lightning bolt. A guy who's expected to go number 25 goes number 12, and you're risking losing your guy. But sometimes it's good. You figure, okay, let me move back a little, and I could get like a 3rd round. I could get additional draft capital. If that you kind of know your guy's still there. You see something in him, but he's not quite the value to pick so high.
And you also got to think, and you made this point, there's only 4 picks above the Giants. There's going to be an offensive lineman there that they're going to fall in love with because offensive linemen that play in the NFL immediately are becoming more of a rarity, and that's what they need. And they do need an offensive lineman. I know they've taken some in free agency, but if he's sitting there, the kid from North Carolina, if he's sitting there, then they'd be crazy not to look at him.
The Giants are in an unusual spot. They go 5-7. Yes. In between them are the Panthers, and you would think the Panthers, they need a quarterback. Mm-hmm. Do they like any of these guys enough? Because if they do, they're going to take a quarterback. It's obvious. I mean, so the Giants don't have to be concerned.
Yes.
If they're 2 guys they like enough once they get to number 5, they probably are getting both of those guys because the Panthers are not likely to upend them, assuming the Panthers take a quarterback. If the Panthers don't take a quarterback, it tells you all you need to know about this quarterback class.
Yeah. And the Giants don't have to reach. They do not have to reach because they got 2 top 7 picks. There's no way they're going to pick.
Jack, what do you think about the Jets now? The Jets are in also an unusual position where they have 2 draft picks very close to each other. And what do you think they're going to do with their first-round picks, Jack?
I'm going to tell you one of the fascinating things that goes on with these GMs you try to read the other GM's minds, what they're going to do. It's not just what you want to do. You want to counter what they're doing. And you're kind of looking for insights. And two insights stand out. One, the Jets made a strong bid for Tyreek Hill. That means they want an elite receiver pretty badly. Tyreek Hill wound up going to Miami, but just the idea the Jets would have made a major deal and paid Tyreek Hill the money says all you need to know about this draft, that they're interested in working something out with a receiver. Maybe they make a blockbuster deal for DK Metcalf, but let's assume that's not going to happen. The second is Robert Salah is a defensive guy through and through. Make no mistake about it. He has a close relationship, supposedly, with the GM, Joe Douglas. And you think Joe Douglas is going to try to accommodate his coach, that they're constantly communicating and who they might want. If they're strictly picking on needs, it's offensive line. They would go for someone like a Charles Cross, who would be available, let's say at the 10th selection. The Jets go 4th and 10th. My feeling is if he's available at number 4, and it's 50-50, they go for the Ahmed Gardner. The cornerback, sensational cornerback, shutdown corner, and and even though their secondary wasn't the weaker part of their defense, I know they need a pass rush in the worst way. Carl Lawson is coming back. We just talked about Thibodeau. I feel Sauce Gardner is better value than Thibodeau. He's more of a sure thing. He performed better in college. This is a guy who didn't give up a touchdown his whole career in college. I mean, they won't even throw to his side of the field. That's how good he is. And Jim can answer to this. Jim, did you play with Deion Sanders?
No, I did not.
You didn't. But let's say you did, okay? You just missed him with the Cowboys. A shutdown corner makes an edge rusher better because you're holding up the traffic longer and giving him a chance to get loose a little longer.
I disagree.
You disagree?
Yeah, I think what they're going to do, and here's where we have a disagreement. I think they just going to take Thibodeau because, as you said, Robert Salah is a defensive guy, and you look how San Francisco's defense was built. That's why I say Thibodeau, that's where he's going to go.
Wait. Your guy, you know Dan Campbell, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dan Campbell, the guy who likes to break kneecaps, he goes number 2 in the draft. Let's say Jacksonville takes Hutchinson. Isn't Thibodeau his type of player physically? Overpowers guys?
He is, but I don't think he'll take him. I think he's looking at other positions. But I think Thibodeau's going to the Jets.
So if that happens, he might take Sauce Gardner before the Jets can get to him. So what I'm thinking is going to happen, I don't think the Jets get to pick Gardner because I think that plays out. He's going to go to the Lions at number 2.
That makes sense.
Hutchinson eventually goes number 1, okay, to Jacksonville. Garner goes number 2 to the Lions. Evan Neal goes to the Texans at number 3. That's how I see it playing out. Chances are it doesn't happen that way. It never happens exactly the way you think. I think the Jets go with the receiver, Garrett Wilson from Ohio State with the 4th pick. A great route runner, causes a lot of damage after the catch. He's a great leaper. He fights for the ball. So that's their big name receiver. They go for number 4. At number 10, I think the Jets, pull a major surprise, okay? They address their defense. Trent McDuffie, the cornerback from Washington, who's going to be an outstanding player. Normally, this guy would go about number 18. The Jets might feel we don't want to gamble and drop down. We want this guy. He's a versatile player, moves all over the field. He's a great tackler. He brings a physical presence to the offense. Jim could tell you love guys on defense. I mean, guys on defense, you love them, guys who bring an attitude to the defense. You love those guys. And this guy, Trent McDuffie, he can transform the defense. He's Robert Salah's type of guy who you could move all over the field. wreak havoc on the opposition. He's going to be one of the best players in the draft. He's going to be available at number 10. I know no one has him going there. I see him going there. The Jets might trade down a few spots to 14, 15, figuring they could get him there. But that's going to be their second guy that they're going to be taking.
Jim, what do you think? Jim? What do you think that the Jets will do at 4 and 10? What are your two picks, and what order, and how do you see it playing out?
I see them taking Thibodeau at 4 because of all this stuff. And I think it's because of Bosa. Bosa was the player, and you look at how they built their defense in Frisco, and that's where Salah comes from. So I think they'll take Thibodeau. And then also I think they're going to take a wide receiver, a big wide receiver like a Drake London. I think he fits with what they're trying to accomplish on offense if they don't trade for a receiver.
I don't think he does, Jim. I'm going to tell you why I don't think Drake London fits. He fits for teams that get into the red zone like the Kansas City Chiefs, where he could leap high in the end zone, use his physicality. But a Jet team that doesn't get in the red zone much, I don't think. He quite fits this team, with the style-wise.
Mm-hmm.
Jim, I agree with you. I agree at number 4. The Jets are taking Thibodeau. If he's available, he's gone there. That's how San Francisco built its defense, and I think that's what they'll do. Now, I agree with Jack too that Garrett Wilson for Ohio State, if he drops to 10, then they'll go ahead and they'll scoop him up.
Oh, no question.
And I don't know if he will last that long, but the teams before the Jets, I don't know how many wide receivers are going to be taken. So I think they have a shot at getting who Jack thinks, Garrett Wilson, but I think they have an opportunity to grab him at 10th. I think that would be a heck of a first round for the Jets.
Jamison Williams from Alabama, but the problem, teams get scared when a player's coming off an injury and has to miss part of the following season. I remember when Todd Gurley came out of the draft, I thought teams were out of their mind not to pick him early, to be scared, to wait till he felt Atlanta. And as it turned out, he didn't have such a great career. He started off really well. But I think they're scared when a guy has to miss games in the beginning.
So, Jim, it's your turn now. The Dallas Cowboys, very interesting. You got one pick in the first round. There's so many different directions the Cowboys could go in. I think they're fine at wide receiver. I think their defense is young and improving. They could help out there. So the Dallas could go anywhere. Anywhere, defensive backfield, linebacker, and even on offense, really. So what are your thoughts on the Dallas Cowboys first round?
Well, first of all, I think if Trevor Pennington from Iowa, Northern Iowa is there, they're going to take him. They'll take him because he can come in. He started at left tackle. He's a 3-year starter. And then he's also played right tackle. He can move into the guard. He's got a nasty disposition. But I don't think he's going to be there, and they're going to take Devin Lloyd. And I'll tell you why from Utah. The reason they're going to take him is they took a player out of Utah State that was a little bit underrated named Bobby Wagner, who started for Seattle, and we know he became a perennial All-Pro. The same thing with Devin Lloyd. He's that type of player. He's the Bobby Wagner type of player. And I think he does well in what they're trying to accomplish. And Quinn is a Seattle guy, and he knows the effect that Bobby Wagner had on their defense.
I don't know, does Devin Lloyd get past New England? That's the problem.
That's a possibility, but we already had our draft expert, Jack, from New England, and he says he's taking Dean.
What type does Dallas look for? Particular type of player normally, or do they have a stereotype player that fits?
Well, they're going to take what they're going to do. I wouldn't be surprised if if their player's not there, they're going to try to trade down, and Lloyd would be the guy that they're targeting, making sure they can get him. I think they'll try to take somebody, a linebacker, I just don't know, or Pennington if he drops, because they need an offensive lineman. They need an offensive guard, but they're not going to go for need. They're going to go for the best available athlete. That's what.
Even a receiver because they lost Amari.
If the receiver's there, it's like we talked about Jameson, but they're gonna be cautious, like you said. The kid from Alabama because of the knee injury. I know
he won't fall to the Cowboys.
You never know, but they can.
He's too sensational a talent to fall that.
And I wouldn't see that, but they're going to take the best available athlete. That's how they operate. And the guy who's running it, that's how he's going to take it regardless of position. Because you can't.
Tyler Lindenbaum might be there for them.
I think if they want Lindenbaum, they'll move down to get Lindenbaum. But their center is not the issue. The guards are the issue. Other than Zach Martin,
Lindenbaum can play guard though.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
That's a hard transition.
He's a wrestler, Jim.
But that's still a hard transition.
Jim, I agree with you. I think Dallas is going to go offensive line. I just don't agree with your pick. There's an offensive guard from Boston College.
That's a possibility.
Who's a 2-year All-Pro, Zion Johnson, 6'3", 316 pounds. He's a great athlete. He can block. He's unbelievable against the run. He can zone block. He can pull. He gets to the second level, and on pass, he's a pretty good technician. So he can get under the pads. And you know something? I think Dallas will be looking for another guard up the middle. Dallas' running game has not been that good over the last year or two,
and that's why I picked. That's why I picked him, Matt. And I agree with you to the standpoint. But this guy's mean. And Northern Iowa players, for whatever reason, they are good pros. They're really good pros. And this guy's got a little bit of a nastiness to him. And that's what they need. They need a little bit of a, let's be honest, an a-hole to play that guard position. And he has played left tackle. He's played right tackle. And he could move inside and give him, he's 6'7", 325. And he's a good athlete. That's why I picked him. But I don't know if he'll be there, but if he's there, they're going to jump at him.
I'll tell you, running backs, there's a good chance none are going to go in the first round or late in the first round. And you think of the Cowboys, Ezekiel Elliott's kind of been getting beat up a bit, So, teams have to address just about every position. You wonder if, Breece Hall, is he an option or something? Did they move up in the second round, early in the second round, and get him or someone? Because
the thing
I don't know,
maybe in the second round, but the problem with running backs is, as we see, you can get running backs in the second or third round that'll be effective. If you get the special ones, then they're going to be in the top 10. We all know that. We all know that from watching them. But the running back's a difficult position because they take such a – and when Saquon Barkley came out, everybody thought he was going to be, automatically. But what we're looking at is the running backs from the past instead of the running backs in the present. There are very few running backs that impact in this day and time like they used to. They're usually within a rotation.
So what do you think, Jack? Who would be your first, if you're the Dallas Cowboy GM, who would be your first pick at 26?
It depends who's there, Mac. It's like I said Tyler Lindenbaum, he might be there. Him or Devin Lloyd, those are the two names that stand out. If either guy is there, I jump on one of those guys. And after that, it's kind of gets to be like a little sticky. But those two guys, are going to start immediately. They're going to give you great value, and no way of getting around. Certain guys might have a dramatic drop who we think are going to go really high, maybe around the number 10 position. They might fall into the mid-20s. And there's a reason why guys like that, fall. And it gets to be a crapshoot after a while. Like you mentioned before, Derek Stingley Jr., and I said he was projected to go in these mock drafts at number 12 to the Vikings. But what happens if he doesn't? Teams might look and say the last good year he had, or the only good year, was in 2019, that we don't want to take a chance. I think part of the problem is these coaches and GMs, to an extent, too, on the hot seat. They got to win now. They can't invest the time to nurture a player. and that's influences their pick to a large degree. They need someone who can step in immediately. They can't say you could show up, we hire you for the job, and then the guy says, okay, I'll see you next week. I want to take care of personal business. And he says, no, you got to come in tomorrow morning. That's the attitude.
Well, Jack, I mean, you gave me two players. I want the player that you would draft. And secondly, you make a great point, right? Because certain teams are going to pass on certain players, and we're not going to be aware of that till it happens. I understand what you're saying there, but all things equal, if this is 26th pick and the player that
24th, isn't it? It's the 24th pick, isn't it?
Yeah, my thought would be a guy like Daxton Hill from defensive back from Michigan. You could move him around cornerback, safety. Yeah. He's versatile.
That's a good
fit into the defensive schemes. I think he would be there. I'm not saying he would be the number one guy. I mean, the two guys I mentioned who I like a lot, Linderbaum and Lloyd, I would pick ahead of him. But he would be a good pick. I mean, not a star, but someone who could fill a role for years to come.
Makes sense. It's a good pick.
Cowboys, yeah.
So it'd be a really good pick.
What do you do with a value pick, Jim? Let's say a team absolutely let's say a Gilbrandstand. He loves one of the quarterbacks, and he slides to the mid-20s, and he says, this guy's going to be an elite quarterback. I could just see it. It's hard not to take him, but you can't take him with Zach.
No, you can't.
You absolutely can't.
In the war room, you have the last couple of days, they're doing that now, is they list players. And they list when they're drafted, they take them off. And then they're going to look at the best available athlete. And that's how the war room is situated. And they're going to say, okay, like you said, it's a receiver. Even though they have receivers, can this guy make a difference? That's what they're going to have. The head coach is going to say, how is he going to affect our team? Is he going to be a difference maker? Is he going to get points? And then the cornerback, can he make us better at that position? Defensive line, can he make us better at that position? Or is he going to be a guy that we're going to have to develop? Is he immediate impact? They're going to look for immediate impact players. And that's how, that if you look at that, that's how they draft now. They look at the best available immediate impact player.
Yeah.
Jim, Jack, how much it gets into the relationships with college football coaches? For instance, Mac Jones, right? Mac Jones goes to New England. Maybe New England thought something else, but that call was made between him and Saban. The Giants hired Joe Judge because partly of what, Bill Belichick said to the Giants, that he was a good coach and he thought he had a great future. So how important, Jim, you've been in the war room, you get some college coach that's very close with the head coach or GM, or another coach that is close with your coach in the war room, call and say, hey, listen, man, you'd be crazy to pass on this guy. He may not check all the boxes that some teams think, but I personally know this guy is really good.
What happens is that they'll call the coach and then ask them about the player and whoever it is. We've had that. And I remember one player we drafted, and he turned out to be a really good player. The coach said, he is the kind of player that I trust him to take care of my daughter, babysit my daughter. That's how much I care. And that was a done deal. We took the player. We took him, and he turned out to be effective. He said, he is going to be the right kind of player within your locker room that you want on your team. So that's how they look at it. They'll call them. They'll call the Nick Sabans. They'll call the Mac Browns. They'll call various coaches and ask them about these players. And the coaches have to give them an honest opinion.
Not necessarily. I'll tell you why I think not necessarily, Jim. Take the relationship between Bill Belichick and Nick Saban. Nick Saban was on Bill Belichick's staff at Cleveland when Bill Belichick was the head coach there.
Yes.
They're reportedly extremely close. And certain players Nick Saban's going to want Bill Belichick to have. He's going to want Bill Belichick to succeed more than another coach. So if they call him, the guy's picking a little ahead of Belichick on one of his players, Nick Saban might say, no, he's a good boy. He's a good player. He's a good this. But for Bill, but he's not going to go all out in his praise. Maybe say just enough good things, but not quite.
No, he's not going to do that.
But to Bill Belichick, he's going to say, "Bill, you got to take this kid. He's going to change this."
Jack,
that.
Jack just says things that pop into his head. I don't know if he's
No,
right or not.
I believe it.
But I mean, listen, Jack. I'm not saying you're wrong, Jack. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I think if they did that, he would lose a lot of credibility.
Exactly.
I'm saying I don't know.
Putting this guy down, he's just not complimenting him to the limit the way he would to Bill Belichick. He's saying Nick Saban's saying to Bill Belichick about Mac Jones. He's going to be successful. He could do this. He could do that. You want to take him. You don't have to move up for the other guys. So whatever.
Jack, I don't know. I don't know about that, but maybe so. I don't know. Who the heck knows? I don't know.
Jack, you might have a conspiracy theory.
No. There's nothing wrong with it. He's looking out for the guy he's extremely close with. He's not lying to anyone, Nick Saban. He's being honest. He's saying nice things.
Yeah, Jack.
He's saying it with a little less enthusiasm
we've had the Washington conspiracy. We've had the Miami conspiracy. Jack.
No one. You didn't even mention Daniel
Alabama and the New England Patriots. So, folks. Jack, before you go, Jim, before you go on, listen, guys. Thanks for carrying the show. Really, honestly, I don't know what happened, why I can't hear what's going on here. It's my board. I should be able to hear before anybody else. Something happened, and you guys did a heck of a job carrying out the mock draft special. Folks, again, Thursday, our second annual draft special, where we'll have live reports right from the floor of the draft. Join us Thursday night at 7:30, Roku TV and all our other outlets. I want to thank you all for joining us, putting up with that little echo I got in the back as I slowly listened to the movie after everybody has already saw it. So it's been a fun time for me, very interesting. I did the best I could, but again, I got two great professionals with me that can carry the show at any time, and that's really good to know. So, folks, you have a great Sunday. Draft's coming up. I hope you get the players you want, and we'll be back Thursday night, 7:30. Jack, me, Keith, and Robert Butler, and special appearances by Jim Jeffco and Byron Williams. Guys, thanks again. Folks, thanks for tuning in. Great views, and I hope you have a great Sunday. Have a great day, guys.
All right. Have a great day.
Good job.